Welcome to the Journey to Your podcast. I'm Jess, an intuitive medium, Reiki practitioner, life coach, and energy artist. For years, I struggled with burnout, anxiety, and unresolved trauma until a life-changing loss pushed me to break free from old patterns and trust my intuition. Now, I help women like you do the same. This podcast is your guide to uncovering your most authentic self, connecting with your intuition, and transforming your life from the inside out. Wherever you are on your healing journey, you're in the right place. Now let's get started. If you've ever been curious about crystals, this one's for you. Whether you've always wondered what crystals actually do, want to know which ones are best for beginners, or you're just feeling drawn to them again as part of your spiritual awakening, this episode will be like a free beginner's class that you can come back to anytime. Today, I am joined by my go-to crystal expert, Monica Stout, a certified Crystal Reiki Master who absolutely loves dipping her toes in the Great Lakes, living life with her family and 3 dogs, and of course, collecting and admiring crystals. We're diving into beginner crystal picks, care and cleansing tips, and how crystals can elevate your Reiki practice and energy healing work. And hey, if someone popped into your mind while listening to this intro, trust your intuition and send them this episode. Now let's get into it. So welcome, Monica.
Hello.
I am so glad that you are here with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Of course. So, my journey, which I love that word because it really is a journey, it really hasn't been a straight line. I started to open up to a lot of alternative healing during the pandemic, really, just to deal with some aches and pains that I was having following childbirth. At that point in time, I had really been experiencing a lot of back and knee pain. I had like 3 bulged discs in my back, and I was seeing an acupuncturist who I still see, and I very much believe in acupuncture. But I felt like I needed a little bit more. So I had been on TikTok, like a lot of people. It got very popular during the pandemic, and I ended up booking a Reiki session kind of on a whim with someone that I followed on TikTok, and I was completely blown away by the session and just how much healing I felt, like how relaxed I felt. And this is really a plug for that person whose name is Shosh from the Otherworldly Archive, and I would just want to say they are amazing. See them if you get the chance.
Yes. Can we pause right
Yes,
there just to
yes,
talk about Shosh? Because
yes.
the listeners have heard me talk about my Reiki journey, and I've shared, like, I was taking an intuitive development program with Verna, who's been on the podcast, and you have worked with Verna as well. And so I remember Verna was going through this centering exercise and talking about chakras. And I was like, what the hell is that? I couldn't even follow what she was talking about. So I hopped on Marco Polo with you and said, this is what just happened. Like, I don't even know what's going on. What is this? And you were like, oh, well, da 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 da. And if you really want to learn more, you could check out Shosh and see if they might do a Reiki session with you. Or I think you may have even piqued my interest so much about Reiki that when I went on the website of the Otherworldly Archive, I saw that Shosh was going to be offering Reiki level 1. And I thought, what better way to learn about chakras than to become a Reiki practitioner?
Yes,
Why not
yes.
just do it? So I started doing Reiki because of a suggestion that you made. And then you and I would get on and talk a little bit about my Reiki journey. And then we started doing something with Shosh when they did a 3-month journey. So we were
Yep.
like, we were talking about what was going on. And I'm telling you, whenever I would listen to your stories and everything that was coming up, I thought, oh my gosh, I hope someday that I can do what you are doing because I remember you were so tapped into spirit at that time, and you like your clairvoyance was off the chart according to like my little bit that was happening because I was still at the beginning stages, and you were saying, "Oh, this and that and that." And I couldn't even believe it. Like you were seeing spirit, you were feeling energy, you were talking about fluffing auras. And I was like, what? I don't even know what an aura is. And oh gosh, like what you introduced me to has gotten me to where I am today because had I not even explored Reiki in the first place, I would not have opened up my clairs and my intuition and been able to connect with spirit and all the things. You definitely have been a huge stepping stone, as well as Shosh, in my own journey. So,
Well, I mean, look at how far you've come too, like from not knowing what an aura is to now doing all of this things around auras, like your
yeah,
paintings. Like
yeah.
that's awesome. And I think that's one of the things I love most about Shosh is just especially the 3 month journey
Yeah.
that they did with us was you if you're open to it, like you can go down so many different avenues and really
Mm-hmm.
find like your little niche areas that really light you up and that you're really interested in. And I felt like I at the time was very open to exploring whatever was out there, and I just discovered so much about healing, about spirits, just about this journey that we're all on.
Yeah.
And I really owe it a lot of it to them. And I did my level 2 and my master Reiki training with Shosh. And I
Mm.
just have to say they are an amazing teacher.
Yes.
Um, just phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
and I hope one day to go and meet them in person.
Me
Like,
too. We
we
talked
need a
about going to,
yeah,
yeah, I think we still have to do that
Arizona.
sometime.
We
Yep.
need to go to Arizona and we
Yeah.
need to hang out with Shosh.
Yeah. Have a surprise, like walk-in visit to their shop. Like, hey,
Yes.
do you remember us? We're hoping you're
Remember
taking
us?
walk-ins today.
Remember us from Zoom?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've talked about how amazing Shosh is, can you tell us a little bit more about your Reiki journey?
Sure, sure. So I think before we went on our tangent about Shosh, because it's easy to do, we could
Absolutely.
probably have an entire podcast with Shosh about Shosh.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I have thought about that.
um, After working with them, after having sessions, I kind of decided it was something that I wanted to learn how to do for myself. So Shosh really inspired me to kind of look for classes locally. And I found a Reiki master probably about an hour away who was holding an in person session. And so I went with some other students and spent a few days learning, and that was the level 1 class that I took. And then after that, I just, as things popped up, especially during that 3 month journey with
Mhm.
Shosh, I decided, like, hey, I was kind of feeling the push to take level 2,
Mhm.
level 3, and become a Reiki master. So
Yeah.
over, I would say the course of a year, probably, I worked with Shosh and did both of those trainings over time. Eventually became a Reiki master, and at that point, I was really into crystals. And
Mhm.
I think one of the things I discovered, which is kind of funny, because I think a lot of times in your spiritual journey, you find yourself kind of coming back to yourself. So one of the
Yeah.
things I recognized was I have always loved crystals and rocks and stones,
Mhm.
and even as a kid, I had a bunch of crystals. I didn't realize they were crystals
Yeah, I found the same.
that I used. Like, we had gone on little trips, and what did I pick out? I picked out rocks, like, so
Mhm.
it's just been something I've always loved and been drawn to. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I found out that there was a crystal Reiki master course that I could take. So I did take that, which was just really fun because I was already very much into crystals and
Mm-hmm.
shopping for crystals, collecting crystals, using crystals. And so I just kind of took it to that next level to incorporate crystals into my Reiki healing sessions and, start offering some crystal related things in my practice.
Yeah. I remember after you had done your Crystal Reiki certification, you and I had decided to swap energy healing sessions. And I remember the exact moment you were doing Reiki on me. We had decided to do distance sessions. So, because of, you're in Michigan and I'm in Pennsylvania, but
Mhm.
we did not say we're doing it at this exact moment. We just kind of gave each other a time frame. And I
Yep.
happened to be in the car coming home, and I felt like a scan going down my head and through my throat. It was as if, whenever you're watching a movie and they're doing a whole body, like you step into a machine and they do a
Yep.
body scan, that
Yes.
happened in my head and down through my throat. And I was like, what just happened here? And then as soon as I got home and I had a chance to like settle myself, I hopped on my phone and said, this just happened. When did you do Reiki for me? And it was then. It
Isn't
was
it
then.
wild? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also something I think that's hard for people to understand too, that like there's really no time and space.
Yeah.
It's it can happen when it happens, and
Hmm.
you don't have to physically be in front of someone like you had said. We had done distance Reiki, and I think it's one of the types of sessions I'm most comfortable giving and
Hmm.
receiving. I feel like it's um, especially with crystals too. Like I like incorporating those in distance sessions.
Hmm.
But I remember having that conversation with you and you saying, "Hey, I felt this," and I was like, "Whoa!" I was
Yeah.
doing Reiki right then, and so I think probably for both of us, we were like, "Whoa, this is really a thing. This really works.
Yeah.
It's not just something someone made up.
Right.
It's real."
Yeah, and I think you have your own dialogue in your mind whenever you're coming into this. If you haven't had a lifetime of people around you doing energy healing or energy work, when you start stepping into this, there can be some imposter syndrome or thinking, is this actually real or am I making it up in my imagination? And I know for myself, between you and Shosh, it was so helpful to see the benefits of Reiki. And it was not only moving that energy, but definitely bringing awareness of areas that I needed to work on. And I'm finding that with my clients too. Now, sometimes they get to the point where they're like, I don't know if I want to work on this. But then we have other people who say, okay, I understand the mission. I get,
Yes.
this came up. This is where I need to go next. Like, and that happened with me after you did Reiki for me. There was a lot of work on my throat, and at that point, I was still working so much on self-expression and feeling safe to express myself. And I had to, you shared exactly what you saw and what was coming up. And I felt very comfortable with you to share, well, this is why. And I remember crying my way through it because it was about a person that we both know. And I was like, I'm just going to tell you everything that's on my heart right now. And you took it with grace and understanding. And I know you do that with your clients beyond
Absolutely.
myself. So I I love that you incorporate crystals too, because it just adds another layer because you also had left me with crystals that I could use to enhance my own self Reiki practice or self healing journey. And I still have them and use them. And they were really about self empowerment and
Hmm.
my solar plexus and my throat chakra, and helping me heal those areas with those crystals. So I think at that point, you became my go-to crystal expert. And I remember when I started asking about crystals, you sent me a beginner's kit, like a little crystal package arrived
Yes,
in the
yes.
mail. And I thought, this is really cool. I opened it up and I had no idea what crystals were coming to me. I just looked through them and thought, oh, this one's for grounding and this one's for protection. Oh, this one's for anxiety and this one is for self-love. Like there were so many in there that it was perfect for me to have someone who knew what I was going through curate a little
Hmm.
beginner's kit because I still use them now. And it really helped to inform my journey with using crystals. And again, I'm plugging you because you planted a seed within me because I now can share that, the knowledge that I've gained with my clients. So, can you tell me a little bit about what it is about crystals that just lights you up so much?
Oh, everything. I think it's wild, one, that there's just so many crystals out there.
Yeah.
And I laugh that you call me your guru because I feel like you can always learn something more about crystals, even when you think you know a guru, even that guru is still learning. And I think I'm still
Mm,
learning. I always encounter a new one here and there when
mm,
I'm
hmm.
out and about where I'm like, oh, wow, I've never heard of that one. That's really cool. And then
Yeah.
end up amassing a larger and larger collection. But
Hmm.
I, I think I think making the little like starter kits and curating crystals for people is probably one of my favorite things to do.
Hmm.
Especially when I know a little bit about what a person is working through in particular, because
Yeah.
all these ideas pop into my head, like, oh, I could grab this one, or let's get some black tourmaline. They're really struggling with fear. Let's grab
Yeah.
this one. And sometimes too, it's not even I may not know exactly what they're going through, but I'll intuitively be drawn to select a certain crystal for someone, and I might
Hmm.
not know 100% why,
Right.
but that'll be one that I end up putting in. And later I find out, oh, you gave me this one, and I was really struggling with this. So it's such a
Hmm.
cool thing, and I feel like they're such great little supportive tools that you can
Yeah.
use in your everyday life. And you don't have to be carrying around like a giant crystal or anything like that. Like there's so many ways to wear them, to use them. One of my
Hmm.
favorites there, I really love the little crystal bracelets.
Yeah.
Um, I know you talked about black tourmaline. Like that was one of my go-tos when I first started my journey because I was struggling with a lot of fear-based things.
Yeah.
And that one's just a powerhouse
Yeah.
for fear. It really really helps. But my other favorite one is howlite, and
Mm-hmm.
I wear a howlite bracelet every single day. Like I just love it. It's great for anxiety. It really helps calm you down.
Hmm.
So I just love like you can select a crystal and you program it, which I know a lot of people are like, what's programming? What does that mean? And that's really
Hmm.
just you having like a quiet little conversation in your head with the crystal of like, I
Yeah.
would really like you to help me with this.
Yep.
Like, can you help
Yeah.
me with my
Intention setting.
anxiety?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Setting an intention with your crystal and then going with it. They're just these perfect little quiet little friends that help you amplify your experience while you're here on earth.
I wonder about your crystal shopping. Whenever you are feeling like, I think it's time to go to a crystal shop. I know you've taken your son with you. What are
Yes.
your crystal shops like around where you live? Do you have a nice variety, a good selection? I know here where I'm at, we have some places that are just beginning to open up, and we now have
Hmm.
a crystal store not too far from me, and it is beautiful and amazing, and she has the best selection. But I've seen videos on like Instagram and a lot on TikTok of these massive crystal stores, and I've I've never come across one of them before, but they look like warehouses just for crystals. But what are your crystal shops like out there?
So there are several in the greater Grand Rapids area. There are a few that I go to pretty regularly. I also will travel like, an hour away to one if I haven't been there before to kind of check them out. And I'm lucky, my son likes to go look at them too. So it's a nice thing to do together. We can just go and pick things up and,
Hmm.
see if it's one that we want to get. But the other thing I like to do is like when I'm traveling, I will look for metaphysical shops in
Mm,
whatever town I'm in, and I like to go visit
yeah.
in different places. So I know I've gone to see my sister-in-law, and she has an amazing place like the next town over, which I was just blown away by their selection. They had so many crystals. So it's just fun. It's fun to check out what's in a different area. It's fun to kind of develop a relationship with the shops in your area
Yeah.
too, because I've noticed, a lot of metaphysical shops or crystal shops, they will also, have people offering Reiki sessions, or
Yep.
they may have, psychics in
Yeah.
house who have sessions, and it's a good way to really foster your community,
Yeah.
kind of grow that locally.
Yep.
But I also like, I like when I travel, I like to see what's out there and experience new things.
If someone is just starting out with crystals, what are two to three you would recommend and why? And you know how you were talking about which crystal might call out to you while you're shopping with your son. How can people use their intuition when selecting crystals?
Oh, I love this question. So first, 2 to 3 is hard. It's hard to pick just one. It's hard to
Hmm.
pick two. It's hard to pick three sometimes. If I'm, talking to someone new, I would typically kind of ask what area of their life they may want some more support in, or, maybe they're experiencing some sort of health issue or some sort of pain. And then I would suggest crystals that would help support them in those areas, or help with pain management, things like that. If I had to pick just 2 or 3 for a starter pack, I think a lot of those crystals that I selected for you are ones that I would probably go with for someone. Like I would select selenite because it's just a real power player. It has a lot of uses. It can cleanse and charge other crystals, so it's just a good starter crystal to have.
Hmm.
It can clear a lot of energies. So I love selenite. I also love selenite plates and selenite bowls. I put a lot of my crystals in and on both of those. I'd also include some black tourmaline, just again for protection, for helping with fear. And then usually I'd go with either like a rose quartz or an amethyst, just because they're just great to have in your toolbox, but they're very lovely and healing and peaceful, just nice starter crystals.
Let's say a listener hears this episode and thinks, okay, I've been wanting to get a crystal. I'm going to take Monica's advice and maybe pick up some rose quartz or selenite just to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And they chose something that felt like they were drawn to a particular stone. They bring it home. Now what? Because I'm asking this because some of our listeners may know what to do, and others may be brand new to crystals, and they may not know the next steps. You know, the crystal was being handled by possibly many people before they
Sure.
got to the listener's hands.
Absolutely.
And that can influence what takes place in the healing journey.
Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit about what are the next steps? What are some care and cleansing tips that people need to know?
Sure. Sure. So, I think this is kind of like a choose your own adventure type of thing with your crystals. So
Hmm.
when you first get them, I always recommend cleansing them. Like I said, you can use selenite. You could place them on selenite maybe for 24 hours, or you could smoke cleanse them. And when I say smoke cleanse them, I mean you grab an incense stick, um, get the smoke all around the crystal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you think of the earth elements, that's really all of the different ways that you can cleanse and charge crystals. So, smoke, water is another way, but you have to be kind of careful with crystals because some of them can't get wet, like selenite cannot get wet.
Mm.
So you have to be a little careful and do a little bit of research on whatever you type of crystal you've selected to make sure that if it can be water cleansed, you can go that route, but maybe it can't. So maybe you want to try smoke, maybe you want to try selenite. I feel like selenite's always the safest and
Mm-hmm.
the easiest because you can just place it on there and leave it, for however long. Like I usually do a full day
Yeah,
when
me
I'm
too.
charging and cleansing. But there's all kinds of ways. Some people bury them in the earth. That's another way to cleanse and charge. Some
Mm-hmm.
people leave their crystals out under a full moon to
Mm-hmm.
charge them, which is another thing you can do, but you have to be very in tune with the moon and what's
Right.
going on. You have to kind of plan for those types of things. But I really like to charge mine in a selenite bowl or the selenite plate, like I mentioned. I have done the full moon thing a few times where I've placed them like outside, maybe on my porch
Mm-hmm.
under the full moon. I do notice a difference
Mm.
in almost like, this is hard to describe, but it's like when you pick it up, um, when you're feeling like, am I drawn to this crystal or do I feel like energy coming from this crystal? I have noticed like it is very powerful under a full moon.
Mm.
Uh, Different than just charging on selenite. So you can try all these things and see which one resonates with you, which one feels good, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what you go with. Go with what feels good.
Yeah.
But I also recommend that you cleanse and you charge your crystals after every time you use them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not just as a Reiki practitioner using crystals, but even if I'm using them meditating myself, I will then cleanse them and charge them after I've meditated.
Yeah.
Um, but once you've cleansed your crystals and like you're like, hey, maybe I want to use this during meditation, or maybe I just want to carry this around in my purse with me today.
Mm-hmm.
You would take that crystal and maybe have like I know I mentioned this earlier, having a little chat with them.
Yeah.
It can be in your head, it can be out loud. I mean, if you don't want people around you to think that you're a little nutty, maybe you're going to say it in your head. But that's what we call programming your crystals. You have to give them a job. So give your
Yeah.
crystals a job, have them work for you. I know I mentioned Howlite. I use that one when I'm feeling anxious, and I'll ask my Howlite friends to help calm me down.
Yeah, I do that too whenever, so I have certain bracelets that I'm drawn to wear to school every day and or out to the store running errands and whenever I put them on, I set a little intention. I do that with I have a necklace with two pendants um and I do the same. And then as soon as I come home from the day and I'm done with them, they go on my selenite. It's like a bar. So every day I'm charging it and
Mhm.
cleansing it and just making sure that they they are aware of what I'm asking them to do. And
Yes.
it's not only, I think, giving that intention or giving that crystal the job, but it gives me peace of mind as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's shift gears a little bit more to Crystal Reiki.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Crystal Reiki is? Because, if listeners are coming here, they've probably heard of Reiki because we've talked about it on the podcast, but we haven't talked a lot, and maybe possibly we haven't mentioned Crystal Reiki. And I'm just curious, part of the the mission behind this podcast is to educate. And sometimes when people come on and they're in conversation describing something, or they use a term or a phrase or a modality, I like to pause them and just say, could like, that's a nice way to say, I interrupt them and say, whoa, Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because we might have people out there like, oh, I'm learning about this for the first time. So, can you tell us a little bit about what it is and how crystals can really elevate the Reiki experience? I know you've talked a little bit about that, especially whenever I brought up um, my experience with
Mhm.
you and Crystal Reiki, but maybe give a little bit more depth to what goes on.
Of course, no gatekeeping here. We like to explain everything.
Yeah. Yes.
So Crystal Reiki is really the combination of using crystals and then the practice of Reiki to bring balance and alignment to your energy centers in your body, which we've talked about, chakras.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're unfamiliar with Reiki, which I think you said a lot of your listeners have heard of it before, it's an energy healing practice that many people use to reduce their stress, to improve their well being and their relaxation. For me, I feel using crystals with Reiki is like adding a little extra pizzazz to every
Mm-hmm.
session. I like that I can intuitively select a group of crystals to assist for a session. They really help me focus on a client's specific needs and maybe provide them a little extra support in certain chakras that might need more healing than others. So a lot of times before the session, um, I'll ask a client, is there, a specific intention you have? Is there something you really want to work on? Um, and then I will go select a variety of crystals. Sometimes it's just a few, sometimes it's a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I will place all of those crystals. I have like a kind of an aid that I use for my Reiki sessions, and it's a drawing of the body, and it
Mm-hmm.
has all of the chakras
Mm-hmm.
um, on it, and I will place crystals on those chakras as I'm doing the distance session, and kind of go over each chakra, and also ask those crystals to help me assist in healing or supporting the client with that particular area.
Mm-hmm. So the one aspect, I should say, the most important aspect of doing some inner work and going on an inner healing journey, including using Reiki or crystals or whatever tools and practices in the holistic realm people want to explore, is that you are on a journey coming back home to yourself. So for me, that means you are on a path to fully loving and accepting yourself, because we have all of these layers of programming and what we should and shouldn't do. But when we peel all of that back, what's left is who we really are, our soul's energy, what's in our aura, our soul's blueprint. And so one of the go-to crystals I use for self-love or for love in general is rose quartz. But I know that there are so many other crystals that can support that journey back to really, truly loving oneself. So I'm curious, what would you recommend if people are, again, piqued by this, their interest is piqued by this episode and thinking, you know what, maybe it's time that I pick up a crystal and start using it or just carrying it around or wearing it. What crystals would you recommend would help bring aspects of love energy back into their aura, back into their awareness, back into their healing journey?
Wow. So that's a great question. And oh my goodness, there's so many crystals out there to amplify love. They can get really nuanced too. So you could get down into the nitty gritty of love, or maybe heartbreak that you're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing too. So for example, if you're trying to heal an emotional wound or maybe a broken heart, I'd recommend something like rhodonite.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted help with depression or fear, citrine is amazing. If you want something to help reignite your passion for the things that make you really happy in life, I would reach for some peach moonstone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want peace or serenity, balance, clarity, then I would go with lapis lazuli.
Mm-hmm.
And like you had already mentioned, for unconditional love, always rose quartz. It's such a great crystal.
Mm-hmm.
If you want some calm healing, I would go with amethyst. Maybe you're in a new relationship, so I would grab some pink kunzite to amplify, commitment and caring. But there's just so many, and you know, I know I'm spouting off a lot of different crystals here, and they're way more than what I can even say in a podcast. But there are so many resources out there too that can help you find what you're looking for. I mean, obviously
Mm-hmm.
we have the internet, which you can find all kinds of things on the internet, but there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of great books out there too. Like if you look at any of Judy Hall's books,
Mm-hmm.
she has such a wealth. She has, I think, three versions of crystal Bibles
Mm-hmm.
that have, every crystal under the sun, and you can
Yeah.
read about what their uses are and really find ones that you may want to seek out. You may have to find them on the internet if you can't find them locally, but there's just so
Yes.
many. So I hate to limit
Yeah.
it to, like, just these few that I've mentioned, because I think you can find the one for you and you'll know when it's the one for you. You will just feel it. If it feels right, that's the one you want.
One of the things I love about the Crystal Bible is there are pictures. So
Yes.
when I was first learning about crystals, you had suggested that book to me, and I picked it up because I wanted to learn a little bit more, but then also consider, well, what do these look like? I'm a very visual person. So if I'm hearing about a certain crystal, it's helpful for me to make that visual connection. And she has beautiful photographs for each one of the crystals. So that makes it easier whenever you might be going on crystal shops online, or maybe you're going to Etsy, or maybe you are heading into your local metaphysical store. And sometimes I've noticed that the metaphysical stores around me, they have a nice book selection. So you might be able to just page through some of the books that they have there on their shelves while you are making um, an informed decision about what you would like. Or maybe you are intuitively drawn to a certain crystal and you're thinking, okay, what is this? And then you're looking through the pages of the book. A lot of the shop owners open up these stores because they also have a love of crystals. So they could be a good resource for you too. Or they may also have little descriptions at the shop so that whenever you're looking at them, you can see, oh, this one is an aura quartz and this is what it means, or this is how it can help you, or whatever it is. Yeah, so thank you for that resource. How about Crystal Reiki if they want to learn a little bit more about that?
So there are a couple of really great resources on Crystal Reiki. I mean, there are some things on the internet. You can also find out about training if you're
Mm-hmm.
interested in Crystal Reiki. But one of my favorite books is by Krista Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
She has a great book on Crystal Reiki and all kinds of different crystal protocols that you can use for various ailments that anyone may have. So it's been one of my favorites as I was learning, just to kind of learn about combinations of crystals you can use to
Mm.
help support folks, and like which chakras you would want to use different crystals with. She is such a knowledgeable person. Like that one in particular is one of my favorite books. It's one that I go back to pretty consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely recommend that one, and along with all the Judy Hall books. So she has a ginormous library of books she's published, in addition to those crystal Bibles that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
there
Mm-hmm.
there are all kinds of books, on crystal grids, crystal ailments healing. Like she has just all kinds of different books. So I kind of find one that you're interested in. You can kind of use the Bible as a springboard, but
Yeah.
she has a wealth of different topics out there that you can read up on, and a lot of other people do too. But Krista Mitchell, for sure, that book is my favorite as a crystal Reiki practitioner.
Very cool. Now, where can listeners find you if they are thinking I'd like to book a distance crystal Reiki session with Monica, or I'm really interested in having a beginner's crystal kit sent to me. Where can people connect with you?
Sure. So I am launching a new website. It's reikiwithmo.com. And that's one way you can reach out to me if you're interested in any of those little crystal boxes. If you want to have a healing session, all of those things you'll be able to book on my site. I'm also out there on the internet. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I'm even on Red Note because there was that worry that TikTok was going to go away for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
So you can find me out there. Happy to help you. Happy to help you if you want to learn about Reiki. Maybe you're interested in taking classes. I can connect you with Shosh, great teacher. Um, all of those things. Happy to help.
Awesome. And definitely agree with taking a Reiki class with Shosh. You will not regret it. You will learn so much, so much.
Yes, yes,
And open up those abilities too, your clairs, your intuition, your psychic abilities. It's amazing. It's amazing.
yes.
All right, Monica, thank you so much for spending time with our listeners today. I have absolutely loved this conversation and I had a lot of laughs. I feel really refreshed and recharged and ready to go about my day. So I hope the listeners
Thanks.
are feeling the same.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here and for taking the time to listen to the Journey to Hear podcast. If something in today's episode sparked something in you, be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so we can keep walking this healing journey together. To help more listeners find the podcast, please consider writing a review and rating wherever you are listening. Always remember, your intuition is your greatest gift. Trust it, trust yourself, and know you are capable of stepping into the life you deserve. I'll be with you every step of the way. Oh, and don't forget, content and services provided by the Journey to Hear LLC, such as the Journey to Hear podcast, are intended for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Techniques, strategies, and services offered are not a substitute for the advice, treatment, or diagnosis of a licensed mental health or medical professional. As stipulated by law, we cannot and do not guarantee results or offer legal advice.